Hey guys, so we are in a very, very interesting time in the markets. Allow me to show you what the charts are saying in a bit. But this is a very, very interesting day. It's one of the first times that I saw this large amount of selling. We haven't seen this amount of selling in. I've been investing since the 2007, 2008 era. And if you would notice, we have not seen this amount of selling. We have not seen this amount of loss in just a day of trading. Value turnovers for today was 8.9 billion, 211 stocks were down. We only have 8 stocks up, but all indices were down as well. Financials, industrial, holding, property, service, mining and oil were down. 49% of the transactions today were foreign, and foreigners were net sellers for today of 2.4 billion pesos. Now, before we go into the nitty-gritty of things, I just want to mention a couple of things that led to this. One is basically the stock market was virtually closed, or not virtually closed, but the stock market was really closed for 2 days. And while it was happening, please do note that markets in the US were massively battered as well. So as markets in the US were massively battered, please remember that we are not immune to what happens in other countries. That if the US markets, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P 500 would be sold down, would be battered down, then we would always follow. We haven't really decoupled from them. And please remember, the main trigger in all of this selling, the main trigger why the markets are pretty much on a sell down is because of this whole coronavirus COVID-19 thing. And it's something that's global. It's something that's happening not just in the Philippines. It's something that affects every market in the world. And the fact that the US markets have been beaten down, it's just part of the game that the Philippine markets would also follow suit as well. So days where the US markets were down and the Philippines was closed, the common trigger there was if there's so much negative sentiment yet and the US markets have not recovered, by the time the Philippine markets would open, then there would be a bloodbath. There would be an onslaught. There would be a large amount of selling brought about by the markets being closed. So if the markets were not closed yesterday and it was not closed 2 days before that, we may not have seen this amount of selling. We may not have seen this amount of people wanting to get out. Please remember also there was a level of frustration that why did they close the markets? The reason why it's a stock market is because we can go out anytime as well, and because of that, it also led to people wanting to sell more as well. And another thing that I'd like to mention is also this. There were a lot of mutual fund redemptions as well. Please remember, when people when people who own funds, mutual fund owners, UITF owners, regardless of what company it is, but if it's an equity fund, a balanced fund, anything that has exposure into the equity market, when investors start redeeming, when investors want to take out their money, the normal narrative is basically when they take out their money, fund managers have no choice because they need to return money to people. They will have to sell. Then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that if they need to sell and they want to sell, they will have to take profits or they will have to cut losses. Take profits, cut loss regardless of what they're doing. They sell, they liquidate, more sellers bring the prices down. So you add 2 days of the markets not being closed, then you add the US markets, you add 2 days of the markets being closed, and while the market was closed, the US market was being battered. Then you had a lot of mutual fund redemptions, and that's a context of where we are as of today. Please remember also, while all of this was happening, the Dow closed down 6.3%, Nasdaq closed 4.7%, the S&P 500 closed 5.18%. So US markets were down the day before our markets opened. And with that fear, no, please remember a lot of people are scared because since Donald Trump came in, the whole US markets were in a massive uptrend. It was in a massive rally upward. But now, from 2017 to where we are now, everything that happened throughout that almost 4 year duration where stocks rallied massively when Donald Trump became president, all of those stocks all of those gains were wiped out. If I remember it correctly, even in the Philippines today, we lost about 1.16 trillion worth of 1.16 trillion pesos worth of money was wiped out just because of the selling that we had today. And just to reiterate, no, SM dropped 9.25% at 667 pesos. BDO dropped 25. BDO dropped to 85 pesos per share. SM Prime dropped to 27 pesos per share. Ali dropped to 22.95. AC dropped 22.75% to 394. AC is massively battered. Ali 20.31, SM Prime 5.26. BDO dropped to 85 pesos per share. Emperador 7.74, Metrobank 39, ICT 71, and Jollibee dropped 91 pesos per share, bringing its loss no for to 24.71 pesos percent just for today. Such a large and massive loss for the stock. And if you add the worst losers, no, Vistaland was down 32%. It's back to 3.6 pesos per share. DMC is down 30%. It's back to 3.29. Alliance Global is down to 29%. It's back to 5.69 pesos per share. Then from the gainers, no, all of these stocks are the one of the few ones that are relatively protected. CLI up 4.06 pesos per share, up 0.74%. AXLM 1.9 pesos per share was virtually unchanged, but majority of the market is massively battered down as well. So that's how it is, no? Especially when you are, please remember, when we are in a time when there's a lot of selling, when there's a lot of bearishness, when there's a lot of people escaping, sometimes valuations are thrown out the window, sometimes growth is thrown out the window, regardless of how good the company is. When you have a lot of fear, when you have a lot of fear, when a lot of people are scared, people will just tend to liquidate. People will just want to go in cash. And the downward movement is not valuations driven. Of course, there will be some impacts in the economy. There will be impact on some of the businesses that are listed. But majority of the movement that we're seeing right now is primarily fear. When the stock is bearish, when there's a lot of news that are bad, when there's threats that a recession will happen, people want to stay in the sidelines. The thought of markets going lower is what's causing people to stay in cash. The thought of it might drop even lower is what's causing people to stay in cash as well. That being said, this is the chart. This is the chart, intraday chart as of today. As you can see here, massive gap down from here. Markets opened at close to at least the 4.6 level. Then it gapped down all the way to the 4,000 level. Then you had a heavy level of buying, causing it to push up, but it still closed lower than its opening price. This is how it looks like from a minute. I think from a 15-minute chart, this is where we were. If it's Thursday today, this is where we were on Monday. Since there was no trading days, markets gapped down, opened here, then boom, dropped to the 4,000 point level. And please remember, I've said this in my Facebook post that the market at its highest was 9,000. Us dropping to 4,000 intraday places the PSEI to drop more than 50%. If you recall it also from my previous posts and all of the videos that I've been saying in the past, the 2008 crash brought the PSEI from 3007 to 18. It was also a 50+% drop in the markets. The 50+% drop in the markets to where we are now. If you look at it and you try to compare it, everything, you try to compare it in the grand scheme of things, we have a larger intraday drop now than where we were a few years ago, than where we were in the 2008 financial crash. So from an intraday perspective, this is one of the largest drops that we've ever seen intraday. Looking at it from where it closed though to around the 4,500 level, 4,600 level, it's still virtually close to 50% massive drop in the markets as well. So we're literally seeing valuations get ripped off. We're literally seeing stocks massively be sold down as well. That being said, we still haven't seen a shift. There's still no change. The market is still bearish. The market is still in a downtrend. The market is still breaking down. The today's movement broke levels that we had a support at the 5,394 level. We had another support level at the 4,5 level. Uh, all of those are now broken. So I just want to enumerate a couple of support levels here. I'm going to do a more holistic chart video after this, but we have 3988, 3628, 3395, 3128, and worst comes to worst, next one will be at the 2800 level. So please take note of those ranges as well, because if we see more selling happen, the market could possibly go down at that point in time. And I'm going to make a series of videos on what you're supposed to do, situational videos. If you're an investor, what should you do right here, right now? What should be your style? What should be your narrative? Should you add already? Should you wait for a reversal? Should you start to come in? Should you start and put everything in one go, since we are at the point where there's a lot of fear right now? Or should you wait until a reversal happens if you are an investor? Or is that only applicable for traders as well? So what I do want to say right now is we are in levels that we have not seen in a very, very long time. This brought us back way back to around 2010, 2011. This also has brought, in terms of selling, you could say it's similar to 2008, but it's not similar to 2008, because one thing that I'd like to point out also is our markets are down 50%, close to 50%. It went intraday more than 50%, but this is at the point where the US markets are not yet that down as much. We have not really seen the US markets drop to as big as 50%. So what does that mean? If the US markets continue to slide down, if the US markets continue to go down, then Philippine stocks will also be hit. You will also see Philippine stocks follow suit, and it may not be the end yet, up until either we see a cure, we see the coronavirus curve start to slow down, and above and beyond that also, we see how this affects our economy. Please remember, this will have some short-term effects in our economy, and not just that, this will have some repercussions in some companies that will be massively hit because of these things that are happening as well. So this is a historic stock market crash. Please remember also that cycles like this, drops like this, will happen over and over again. What you can do is to manage your emotion. What you can do is to manage your risk. What you can do is to manage how you allocate your portfolio. What you can do is just trade based on your strategy, to follow your plan, buy the ones that you sought buying, avoid the ones that you sought to avoid. And if your trading plan is telling you to be in cash right now, follow that. Your goal right now is not to listen to what other people are saying, not to even listen to what I'm saying, but your goal right now is to follow your plans, stick to it like the glue, and do your best to be able to just execute based on that as well. Because at the end of the day, this too shall pass. I've seen this over and over. Markets drop, but they will always reverse. What you do in times like this will define how your portfolio will be. Are you the one panicking, or are you the one logically either coming in because you find it to be cheap already, or waiting up until a reversal will happen, and that's when you start pouncing in and coming in and utilizing and maximizing your position in the market? Please remember, money in the market is never about uh, is never about the frequency, but money in the market is how you position well and how you do things that are contrary to what everyone else is doing. So we are at the point right now where there's a lot of fear. We are at the point right now where a lot of people are thinking that the worst could even happen. But sometimes when everyone's so scared, that's the point when it does not go down anymore. I'm not saying that this is the lowest ever, but what I'm saying is this: no one will know where the bottom is. No one will know how low it will go. What you can do is just follow your plan, follow your strategy, follow specific areas where you do want to come in, and that's how you execute, and that's how you can trade this with conviction. So I'm gonna make another charting video later on to show you how the charts are plotted at this point in time. That's one. And second, after that, I'm also gonna interview a lot of people who have been in the markets for quite some time already, and they're gonna share their insights, and ultimately, not just for you to listen to them, but for you to be able also to glean, get some wisdom, get some insight, get some confidence, so that you come in here being prepared. You come in not just jumping the gun from emotion. So that's it for now. This is Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.